Start with Danny P. in the second row.
Coach, how valuable has the last week been, not only just kind of recharge the battery, but just kind of maybe getting the guys off their feet a little bit, maybe get some of them healthy, because I know someone's been dealing with some bumps and bruises.
Yeah, it's that time of year. I can't speak for all the coaches in the SEC, but since our challenge changed from the Big 12 to the ACC, I know I like this format better, to have a 7-day stretch right in the middle of, the conference season. I would imagine most coaches and players look forward to it. Certainly, it hasn't been as enjoyable as maybe it could have been if we had played better in our two-game homestand going into it. But it's been welcomed for a number of reasons. Like you mentioned, bumps and bruises. At this point in the season, if you're 100% healthy and you feel tip-top, you're very, very fortunate. It's a long, grueling season, and there's a lot of mileage that's put on all the players, and becomes a tired game at times. And then on top of that, we've had, I guess, the crud going through us a little bit in terms of the program, starting Saturday and Sunday, and it's kind of bounced around a little bit. So fortunately, we've been able to, manage that probably better than we would have if we had a game to prepare for.
We'll go to Paul to coach's left, and then to Benjamin.
Obviously, Coach, you have an older team, and a lot of teams in this league do, and you see most of the standouts are older guys, but you see a lot of freshmen that have played well, and obviously with Georgia, with Asa, the way he has dominated inside. Just what have you seen from him this year, and how difficult is he to kind of hold down in the post?
Yeah, once you go deeper into the video, it's very remarkable how mature he is as a basketball player. I don't know him personally, didn't even watch him play in the circuit, so my familiarity with him was by reputation until this season, and watching him recently the most, and he just plays different out there than most freshmen do. He's just got a mature game. He's obviously developed physically and mentally, and he's very, very skilled and very comfortable on the court. He's made a huge impact, for their program and for their team, and he's certainly they got a lot of good players, like everybody does in this league, but it starts with him at the top.
Go ahead, Benjamin, and then we'll go to Sam next to him.
Last couple of years, your team was under 500 in the conference at the halfway point of SEC play, and then got better in the second half. So, what's it going to take for that to happen again this year, and what gives you confidence that that's going to happen?
Yeah, we've been there, done that. Haven't really talked to the team about that. Contemplated if we need to or should. We'll make that decision here shortly. But the experience, can't teach it. It's obviously helpful in a number of different situations, and hopefully it will be in this one from the coaching staff and some of the players that have been through it. But unfortunately, just because that was the case in years past, that we went on many runs in the second half to put ourselves in position, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again. You can't just rely on that, because our teams in the last couple of years have done that. But that will be the expectation. Obviously, each game is going to be huge. The rest of the season, certainly, like everyone, we're focused on the next one. But we're in a position now where we've got to win basketball games, regardless of who we're playing and where we're playing. We've got to win basketball games, and it starts Saturday.
I'll ask about the three-point and perimeter defense. What's just being done this week to address that?
Yeah, we've done a deep dive on going some film review of games prior, because we had the time, and to try to pinpoint some things that we were not doing or doing, for that matter, that has led to, you know, the large number of threes and in an efficient manner that they're shooting the threes against us. So, you know, we're not going to overhaul, you know, what we do. Unfortunately, it just wasn't one thing that you could say, hey, you know, let's do this different and everything will be rosy. It doesn't work that way. It's just, you know, one time it was, you know, no urgency to contest. One time it was, you know, we didn't guard the ball well. One time it was, you know, offensive rebound is a great opportunity for other teams to get catch and shoot inside out threes. And so there were a myriad of issues that we saw, and certainly, you know, we're tweaking, you know, certain actions that we guard to try to put our kids in better position, and, you know, hopefully it'll work.
We'll go to coaches right and to Jacob, and then we'll come back to Paul and to Benjamin.
Coach RJ, Riley, and Claudell really haven't had their best offensive game the past 2 games. What can you maybe do on that end of the court to get those guys going?
Yeah, we need those guys to play better. We all can play better, but the 3 you mentioned are guys that are all capable scorers and have shown the ability, you know, here and even elsewhere for that matter, to be able to shoot and score the basketball. And we need all 3 of them to do what they do best. And I think it starts with just confidence. You know, that's the vibe. You know, that's the feel that all players seek. And we, staff, teammates, everyone inside our walls need to figure out ways to, you know, help them. But I believe that they're all 3 in their own way, you know, mentally capable of understanding and not, you know, sitting in it, not letting it take control of them and beat them down. I just don't see that happening. You know, off topic, you know, when you go through what we did in our last game as a coach, certainly you have in your mind what the response should be in practice, but unfortunately it doesn't always work the way you want it to. You know, you do your best to try to figure out a message and a game plan, you know, for a day, you know, for a week, for a season for that matter. But at this point, it's, you know, day to day. And I've been pleasantly pleased that the response, you know, thus far on the floor Monday and Tuesday was what we wanted it to be. They've had a good approach. They've done what we've asked them to do, and hopefully that will help us be a better basketball team going forward.
Got time for a few more. We'll go back to Paul.
You mentioned confidence. You feel like that's been a big thing with Josh the last couple of games? It seems like he's had a different bounce in his step, and when those first couple of shots fall, he just kind of seems like a different player, like most guys are, I guess.
Yeah, like, you know, we've talked about before, you know, these players are human. It's not a video game. You know, you don't joystick the game. And most individuals, most teams for that matter, large percentage of them anyway, have peaks and valleys each season. When you're in a peak, everything feels good and everything's going in, and you know, it's all good. And then certainly when you're not in one of those, you know, it's as if the world's ending in your basketball world, in your professional life that way. And you know, Josh in particular, you know, people were, I don't know, disappointed in some of his splits, in his shooting percentages. I was never concerned about it. I got the ultimate faith in that young man, and I know what he's put in and what he's invested in his game, and how much he loves the game. And you know, certainly he does have, you know, a little different bounce in his step, to use your phrase. And you know, it hasn't been in wins the last couple games, but I think, you know, he feels really good about it, and I think everybody around him feels good about it.
Benjamin, Sam, wrap us up.
Looking at Georgia, they've played really well at home. Went over Kentucky, only lost by 2 against Auburn. What do you think's allowed them to play so well on their home floor, and what's it going to take to, get a win over them there?
Yeah, it's going to take us playing one of our best games. I mean, they've created a better home court environment than maybe in recent years because of the success that they've had, and how they're doing, especially at home. They had another lopsided win, last night in the SEC, which are hard to come by. So they're, playing with a lot of confidence, especially in their building. And they're not, an overcomplicated team. They just try to play fundamental, sound basketball. They're very physical on both ends of the floor, both out front and then around the basket. We talked about Asa, but they got other guys that are, rocked up and have a physical approach to their game on the offensive end and the defensive end. And they, everything they do, is just physical. The way they screen, the way they rebound, the way they play offense. And, we have to understand that it's going to be, a battle that way, from tip to finish. And certainly our, 3-point percentage has been much talked about, and we can't be giving up, 14, 15, 16 threes, unless they're taking, 35, 40 of them. It's one thing, to give up that many. If they're so committed to it that they shoot so many of them, they're going to make some of them. But that's really not, necessarily their style. Not that, they wouldn't think looking at us that they could get off more and make more. So who knows how that will unfold. But, this week's about us. This week's about us getting better. This week's about tweaking here and there, and just getting our mental right, just feeling good, come Saturday when they tip the ball and having that confidence and that swagger back.
You mentioned at the start a crud that's going through the team. Is that an illness that's affecting the players, or what did you kind of mean by that?
Not feeling well, just under the weather, if you will. Just kind of when it happens, on a team, it's like a baton. They kind of pass it, and then hopefully, it stops. And but it hasn't been anything major. But we've had some kids that had to miss some practices this week because of just not feeling well enough to go.
Thanks. We'll see you guys Saturday, some of you.